Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews, and I'm joined with Amit of D54 and Kathy of Cinema Podcast. And we're going to talk about Mammootty's latest film, Turbo. Which I thought was going to be basically Fast and Furious, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I was surprised there weren't more cars in it.
There was, I mean, for Malayalam cinema, there was an epic car chase at the end, and
that was great.
Having just visited Kerala, I'm like, there is no freaking way anyone could reach those speeds on the roads of Kerala unless it was 3 a.m. Maybe it was. I don't know. I'm just telling you.
Probably was.
It might have been. Yeah.
Anyway,
oh my God.
So when we saw this, the trailer, Vroom Vroom, we saw the director is Vysakh and the writer is Midhun Manuel Thomas, who did Om Shanti Oshana, and recently Abraham Osler that Kathy and I discussed. So this was like an action comedy. It starts with this really gruesome opening scene.
Really bad.
And then it takes a long time for us to connect the dots of, for them to connect the dots in the movie as to what that opening scene has to do with our main characters, why it matters, but they kind of start off with a bang, so.
Yeah. It started off a lot harsher than I thought, because from the trailer, you have a lot of Mammootty kind of, hamming it up for the screen a little more like fun action movie, like you're saying, like Fast and Furious, which always had a little bit of a wink, And then when it opened with that, I'm like, whoa, is this the right movie? What am I seeing?
Yeah.
It was the right movie.
Definitely caught me off guard.
It did kind of set the stage in a kind of weird way. So
I should just say we're going to talk about spoilers. So if anyone has not seen the movie and doesn't want spoilers, just fair warning. Go ahead, Amit.
No, I was going to say, it also confused me a little bit because I thought that was a young Mammootty, but it turned out it wasn't.
I was wondering that too. I was like,
it happened. I'm like, okay, that must be Mammootty. And it just turns out to be, it's not him. So I thought it'd be a backstory or something like that to actually explain maybe some of his trauma and what happened to him growing up, but it wasn't.
He had different trauma.
Trauma.
I know, exactly. I just saw a headline too, and it said that this box office was Mammootty best. Career best.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And biggest opening of 2024, surpassing Fafa's movie.
Wow. I mean, I will just say, for people who probably grew up on 80s Mammootty action films where he just, kicks ass and takes names. Yeah. This it was all for you, right? It was here is a kiss to you. And I had a feeling there were probably many references to previous films that went over my head, but I actually really enjoyed his character, that he just sort of blundered into all of these situations and yet was a complete badass, but that was scared of his mom. His mom was my favorite character in the entire film, played by Bindu Panicker. Again, spoilers, like the one scene where the villain is on the phone and she's like, "We care, bitch."
That was so good.
I was on the floor. Yeah. She had the best lines.
She did have the best lines.
She's so good. She was, she was really good. She's the mum from Rorschach. If you guys have, I'm sure you guys have seen that movie. She's
I loved Rorschach.
Yeah, and she plays an extremely different character there. Like she's almost she's just a crazy, like psychopathic villain in that one. And this one, she's like a endearing mother. But a bit of Mammootty connection there, so they had good chemistry. But she was good.
I mean, she just had the best lines. Like when she's reassuring somebody, don't, after Mammootty's given this big speech and he's going to be so scary, she's like, "Don't worry, if I just look at him wrong, he's going to pee his pants."
That was so good. I love that. So good. I think part of it too, like I'm kind of new to Mammootty relatively. I mean, I've started watching his films and I totally get his appeal and the way he dominates everything he's in, basically.
Yeah.
So, but it was still, really refreshing to see him in just all out, just crowd pleaser popcorn movie where he's just in there kicking ass. I mean, how old is this man? Like 73? And they gave him, I mean, I'm sure there's body doubles, but they gave him some major action. Like he's still like this big imposing guy where you clearly knew he was the guy in the scene. Incredible action sequences I thought were amazing. I love that they're like, he's not a young guy, but he's still kick ass. And I thought that was very cool they did that. And there were some really like spectacular action sequences. Man, so many sledgehammers, and I just feel like they would do more damage. They sort of hit people with sledgehammers, and they just bounce right up. And I'm like, what?
Okay, I just realized right now when he is in I think it's Sunil, who is normally in Telugu movies, was in this Malayalam film. He's the bad guy who pretends he's the Godfather or whatever.
Yes.
But remember, Mammootty picks up Thor's hammer from his desk.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. Yeah. There were a few references.
And then later his Mammootty's mom is crying over Tony Stark dying.
Yes. No, there were a lot of wasn't the at the start there was that scene that cracked me up when he hits the table and the Infinity Gauntlet comes up and he puts his hand on it and he punches somebody. Yeah. I was like, okay. Yeah. There's a lot of Avenger references in this.
There was a lot of superhero stuff in this. Even when he almost was a superhero, but he was too good.
No, he was. Yeah. It definitely. Yeah. What he comes in a police station and takes down 50 policemen without a scratch.
I know, that was so funny. Seriously too, like Raj B. Shetty, who I enjoy. I think he's a very unique actor.
He has a presence.
I thought I feel like he was kind of getting some shit from people. I've heard just a few people talk about this movie, and they feel like he was really boring and his performance was really flat. And I'm like, but I thought, I don't mind an actor taking a role like that. And it's a big, crazy movie. He knows he's not going to compete with Mammootty.
Right.
Well, just being this kind of slow, low burn, simmering kind of, dead in the eyes kind of bad guy. He wasn't going to be a big flamboyant, I did say I thought some of his reactions toward the end of the film were a little too pulled back. Like he felt like he didn't quite know what to do in the scene a little bit, like these big. And he was kind of like, oh, what? So, but at the same time, I just love him and Mammootty together, exchanging barbs and,
I mean, he just that was really swagger when he came out in his opening scene and everything. I liked it. I liked it.
And he's just sort of sitting back and letting other people do the dirty work, just kind of barking out orders and just being that guy. And I love that. I mean, they had some really impressively twisted, terrible scenes. I mean, terrible. I love them. I mean, terrible in a good way. The torture
loved it. She's like, she's like, don't say priceless fish, but the girl on the hook, that's fine.
She was on the hook for this one.
That's all good.
No, exactly. But at the same time, I feel like the big set pieces of as we know, the tuna processing plant, which was such an odd location for. Anyway, we'll just give him that. Okay, it's a tuna processing plant, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't like when they double the gag. Like we already had a woman hanging from the tuna thing and being sent through the processor, which looked like something out of an old James Bond movie. Just looked like nothing works this way. It just doesn't. You're going through a big door full of grinders and you're suddenly. It was just like, what is happening? So that was a little goofy, but at the same time, it fit the movie, which wasn't too serious. I felt like it was sort of trying to almost be like a cheesy Bond kind of level where you almost had him going, like Austin Powers me. And then they did the gag again at the end. And I feel like you don't need the gag twice. Like, I don't know. I just feel like they should have come up with another bigger, badder thing for the bad guy.
I kind of like the whole setup of the villain scheme because I felt like it was something a little bit different. Maybe it was a repeat, but at least for me, I was like, oh, okay. Like they're scamming all these people with these orphan accounts and whatever. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The main actress, Anjana, I'm like, okay, how are they I was like, how are they going to get around this kind of romantic angle with Mammootty? And I think it was clever in that he's helping a friend that he considers to be a younger brother. So of course, even after spoiler alert, that guy is killed. He's still going to watch out for her, and he's still going to, I don't know, treat her as his sister-in-law or whatever. Yeah. So I felt like they did a good job kind of establishing that relationship. I don't know that I have seen her before. I appreciate someone that is not stick thin in a movie, but I don't know that she brought a lot of. I don't know. I'm not trying not to be mean. Like she had some fire in the closing scenes. I'm not saying she was a, shrinking violet in the film. I mean, she's playing a bank manager. She's somebody's possessed and knows what she wants. But I don't know. So I don't. She was okay, but she can't hold a candle to the mob and the Panicker.
No, she was against two characters that were just dominating every scene: Mammootty and then the mom. I mean, it's almost like everyone else kind of gave up in the movie. They're like, I'm not even going to try.
Yeah,
I think it was funny to see the Godfather caricature was hilarious. Like first they come in and he's like sitting at his desk. Odd.
He is known for his comedy and Telugu films, so I was like, just bring it, Sunil, just bring your crazy, bring your crazy.
They were having fun with this. You can't take it too seriously. But again, like you said, the action sequence, the fight scenes were great, maybe a little long, but they were great. And then the car scenes were great. I mean, it was a crowd pleaser. I don't know.
I mean, you don't normally get car chases like that go on that long, in Malayalam films. So I'll give him that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you see that truck crossing the road, you're like, oh my god,
oh
no. Yeah. That's
hit the brakes.
I don't know. For me, it was a good time, especially because of the comedy.
Yeah.
And also just because I enjoy watching Mammootty fling people around.
I do too. And even sitting down. He was just sitting down and killing them.
Yeah.
Rolling across the floor.
All right, Amit, I think you have a slightly different opinion. So tell us
what did you think?
I'll get on to some of the points. So Raj B. Shetty, I definitely enjoyed his performance. I think he did nothing wrong in terms of what he brought to the movie. He looks like a villain, like he played that role well, but
it was good.
I personally feel like he was severely underwritten. It was just like the character was, I don't know how to say this in a nice way, but it felt so generic to me. Big bad boss, big bad goon that's looking for power and more power, and he has a politics in his hand, he has a police in his hand. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with his performance. I can't really fault him because he's just doing what he was told to do. I really felt like they missed opportunity there because you have Mammootty who's going ham and he's fantastic. I love the action scenes. I love the comedy. I love everything he was doing. If you just had somebody else on the other side to balance that, it could have added so much, because that final sequence where they have like the face off, I was like, what's the point? Like Mammootty's taking down like 2,000 people now, and you've taken down nobody. You just pointed and told people to do something. So it left me a little bit underwhelmed, where I was like, okay, this is kind of just, it was a little bit predictable again with the set pieces you mentioned. It's there again. We've seen it once. It's not really exciting me that much. The actress I felt she's actually a really good actress. I liked her in the actor. She's there's a Fafa movie that she was in last year, which was really good, and she had great chemistry and a great role, and she was well written in that. In this, I feel like they set her up at the start as being interesting, and then she became just like a typical woman that's a victim. Like use her, grab her, she's the bait. She's the weakness, and it became a lot of that. So I was like,
I agree.
You had set something up so well here. You actually gave her some prominence, and then it just became, let's just use her again as his biggest weakness is the woman. Let's just do that again.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't like that too much. You got something going.
Speaking of setup, so the very end of the film, we see Delish Potan's head in a box.
Yeah, I didn't.
That was amazing.
And then, did you recognize the voice? Did you recognize the voice of him?
Who was
okay? So it was because I looked it up because I was like, "Am I hearing things?" It was Vijay Sethupathi.
Oh, really?
I mean, Mammootty opposite Vijay Sethupathi. Are you freaking kidding me?
That would be insane. And then they would have to write a good role for him. They'd have to.
I didn't recognize that at all, because I was confused because I thought it was Raj B. Shetty, and I was like, why? Well, he's passed away now. So yeah, that's why I was confused. I was like, wait, did he do this before he passed away, and then he's just sending it or something? I was so confused by that.
And, I mean, because the voiceover says, okay, you've gotten the little fish, but so I mean, again, with the tuna play, like the tuna processing, you've just gotten the little fish. Okay,
love that.
That's funny.
I mean, I'm just here to say I'd be on board for Turbo too. It was so fun.
Oh, definitely, yeah, no, I'd be in. I'll be there for what you call it, a sequel as well. I did enjoy the movie. It's just I felt like I could have been more. I felt like there was just a little few things they could do. The comedy I thought was so good, because I agree with you, Kathy. Like I've seen Mammootty do quite a few movies, but like even the older ones I've seen are all really serious. Like they're not really. I've not seen him do a comedic role, and I've not seen him do an action role either. To be honest, like it seems like he's more in the world of drama. So, and I was a bit concerned, like, is he actually going to be able to pull off, these crazy action sequences? Because he's 72. Like, I can't expect him to be doing like,
Amit,
backflips and
you are not a true believer. That's all I
can
say. But I was really impressed by his action sequences. I thought they were really good, and even the action choreography was really good. I enjoyed all that. Like, it was fantastic. I wish the comedy was integrated a little bit better together, because I really enjoyed the first 20-30 minutes where the comedy was like really the focus, and then it kind of becomes more serious, and then there's bits and pieces of comedy here and there, like with the because of mom. That's it. The mom's not.
It kind of broke up the tension in certain moments, which was kind of fun. I mean,
it was just the eyebrows, where he'd look and go. I love that, where he'd look at someone, oh shit, here it comes.
Yeah. No, he has a different. I really wanted to see his style of comedy, because I'm so familiar with sort of some other comedians in the Malayalam film industry, but I'm not familiar with how Mammootty does comedy. And he's been on the other side so much, where he's done drama, where I'm like, how's the same guy that's going to do that? But he's so versatile that he can just do it so simply. So it's good to see.
Oh yeah, and I also feel like he gave space for Sunil to be his crazy self, for Bindu to just do her thing, and so he's willing to be the straight man opposite some of the other people, which I thought was really good too. So this is a production of Mammootty's production company, spelled Kampany. So but I really enjoyed it. This writer did Om Shanti Oshana, one of my favorite films. So I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the same team that will be for Turbo 2, but I'll be waiting.
Well, if it made that kind of box office, there will definitely be a Turbo 2.
So this is a question I want to ask. This movie, like, even in comparison to its because we do a lot of promotion stuff here. We do song reactions, trailer reactions, teasers. We kind of in that world. This movie had just the least that I've ever seen. One trailer reaction, like I think like 5 or 6, maybe 10 days before the release, like compared with Avesham, which had like a teaser reaction, like an intro scene, a couple songs that came out.
Well, first of all, we're not in Kerala. We're not seeing how many posters are on every single street corner, because when I was there, that's what I saw. Like there were certain movies like you couldn't escape seeing posters for it. So there was probably awareness. And again, it's Mammootty. He's going to be in the news. People are going to know that he's got another film coming out. And
trailer reaction. I mean, Katul the core had more. That's not a cinematic movie.
I think that was a harder sell maybe to get an audience, and given the subject matter, if it was hinted at what it was. This was a little gruesome, but this is definitely maybe more of a bring the whole family to the movie.
Yeah, this is like a entertainment movie. So I feel like this movie could have done better if they had pushed out a little bit more, to be honest.
Better? It broke record.
I mean, it would have. I guess
I'm just saying. I mean, maybe you're just like. Everybody. Mammootty action. He's going to drive a car fast. Okay.
Well, like you're saying, I think you have a good point, because as we've seen, like Malayalam tend to back up the promotion really close to release date, and they only do like 1 or 2 things. They don't spool it out like so many other ones. Like they're sort of some of their movies seem to be getting a little more of that. Like you're saying, like there's been some song. I mean, King of Kota. My God, how many promos and songs we have for that? But it's it's almost like they felt like we got Mammootty. We don't need to worry about spending money on promos. It's like, but just get them out there.
I guess so. Yeah, there's so much confidence.
I guess.
It was preponed. That's what I just recently found out. It was actually brought forward, which is I've not heard too much of.
So maybe that was part of why there wasn't more marketing, because if they decide to fill it into another open slot to not compete with some other film that's coming out.
Is that what it was?
Same weekend, maybe.
Yeah, from June 13th to 23rd of May. So we would have definitely got probably some more promotional material in those 2 weeks.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So
I wonder what it was trying to avoid. What's coming out on 13th?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what's coming out in June. I don't know. No idea.
I think we have a ton of good movies coming out in June, but I can't remember what they are right now. But I remember seeing a lot of like June 7th, June 15th, or whatever. I feel like there have been some that have been coming out.
I don't know any Malayalam movies coming out then. Like it's definitely no other Mammootty movies or Mohanlal movies.
I have to look at the I have to look at the calendar and see what it is. Or viewers, please let us know.
Yeah,
have you heard in the press why they moved this up? What other movie is coming out that we should make sure that we're aware of and trying to stick out from theaters in mid-June?
All
right. All right, so basically, I'm it with caveat, but we all really had a fun time watching this movie.
Yeah,
highly recommend. I wish, I wished I could be in Carolyn seeing it with a group of Mammootty fans going absolutely nuts. That would just be
that
like,
would have been fun.
Oh.
Totally.
Someday. But anyway, let us know in the comments what you thought of this movie, because as I said, this was a spoiler review, so I'm assuming if you've gotten to this point, you already saw it. Probably already saw it.
It was spoiler light. I mean, I guess it wasn't too light.
Yeah.
We did talk about severed heads, but
but anyway, let us know what you thought in the comments below, and definitely remember you have to subscribe to all 3 of our channels if you want to see us everywhere. So Amit is on D54 and Kathy is on Cinnamon Podcast, and you can find me there frequently. So if you wanted to follow all our trailer actions and so forth, you need to follow us. And we don't places.
Exactly, because we don't double up. I had someone going, "Aren't you going to review this movie?" I'm like, "Oh, I did that with Melanie. Go to Pardesi Reviews." So you really do.
Right.
It's not that we're not reacting or reviewing. We're usually doing it on each other's channels. So if you're not seeing it on our channels, look at the other channels.
I just this week had a comment. Well, where's your review of Primaloo? I'm like, oh yeah, I was on Amit's channel. Here's the link.
Where is it?
I had to think for a minute.
So you really do. It's like, think of all the content you're going to get if you follow all 3 channels.
Yeah, true. Yep. Seems a lot of fun.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.